little mini camp today. Obviously it won't look much different. We're not doing much different than what you guys have seen, and we're actually pulling back a little bit more. We'll have a big time jog through. We'll get a chance to get out there. We'll get a little bit of individual, kind of full speed, and we'll kind of end it with like kind of developmental guys, kind of like giving those guys an opportunity to get more reps and do some different things. But it won't look much different than what you guys have seen. Really excited about where we're at in our off season. Really excited about getting these guys mental going, getting into the 5-week break. Giving these guys a chance to get away and then give them a chance to get back here and get ready to go for training camp. With that, I'll open up questions.
So now that we're in the mandatory portion of the off-season program,
Yes.
How is attendance today?
It was everybody. Everybody except for the excused absence of Morgan Fox.
Okay. Everything okay with
Yes.
Morgan?
Yes. Personal.
Personal, okay.
Yes.
Kirk Cousins is here.
Everybody's here.
Have you got a chance to talk with Kirk at all since he's been here? And how's that going?
I got a chance to speak with everybody because I had my team meeting. So I got a chance to openly speak with everybody. I got a chance to actually speak with Kirk Cousins. He sit right up in the front row, so I saw him when he came in, and obviously he wasn't somebody that I've seen every day, so I got a chance to say what's up to him. Yes.
And how's Kyle Pitts, the injury that he's been working through?
He's dealing, it's tough. Always when you go through these things, everybody's at different portions and different spots when you're talking about injuries. And hopefully he's going to be fine and look forward to him getting back when we come back to training camp and get going.
We haven't seen Caleb McGarry the last couple weeks of OTAs. Is he here today, and what's going on with him?
Same thing, same thing kind of like with the Cal stuff, extreme, caution with everything that we're doing. Feel really good about where he is and feel really good about where we're going. So I'm fired up. We get a chance to see him out there a little bit today with his guys and with our people, so that feels good.
Kyle's role, what do you kind of see from him, for this year?
Kyle has always had the same role, is a big-time mismatch, a big-time matchup problem. When you get a chance to get him one of those matches, you can absolutely exploit those things. He's actually one of those guys that goes out on third down, was actually able to make the change, creating that threat for you in that mismatch situation. Most of the time, his big-time role has been in the pass game. It's been one of those things that he's been primarily at for us. Actually last year he grew a little bit in the run game department, providing a lot of run game for us and being able to have some plays that can go actually behind him, actually away from him, do some of those different things. He's been a big part of our protection programs. And some of his chips or some of the stuff that we have in our play action pass stuff. So like he's developed his role as he's gone and become more of a complete tight end, so to speak. It's just that it's always hard to accomplish the goals that everybody else wants for him. And some of that pressure that lives on his chest is really accumulated by himself and us. And us, I mean us as the media, because of how high he was drafted and how he's projected. We're very critical of a guy who had about 700 yards receiving and whatever amount of receptions he has because of the spot that he got drafted, and rightfully so. So some of the pressure that we all put on ourselves, but really pleased on what he can do when he gets back, and really pleased on working with him throughout the process.
I know Zach had mentioned there's smaller things that y'all kind of want him to evolve in, but when you look at him, where does his next step come in?
I think it's just when you go to the targets to him, some of the individual cuts and getting better at those things, working with him and Michael together. And I think that's something they'll get done as soon as they have the opportunity to. And I really feel good about those guys' connection, just how it grew at the last 3 games of the season with Michael going out there. The big time seam catch at the end of the game, the timing it takes and requires to get those things done, and that critical of a moment. Those are more the moments that we want to see as an Atlanta fan. Those are more the moments we want to see as Atlanta coaching staff. Those are more the moments we want to see as a fan base. So those are the things that you really just want to have. It takes time on task, and when you get a chance to get that time on task, you really feel good about it.
What are the do's and don'ts, Coach, you want to and your veterans this week?
This week, I kind of think we've went into the do's and don'ts throughout the whole process. It's always hard as a rookie when you come in and you're trying to prove yourself to a brand new team, brand new teammates, brand new organization, brand new fan base, and you want to go so hard. You got to slow them down in that fashion. That's always the hardest thing to do. You got to learn how to practice. You got to learn what a walkthrough is in the National Football League. You got to learn what a jog through is in the National Football League. You got to learn what it's like to participate and cooperate and practice while going full speed against each other, but knowing exactly when to pull off and when to turn and run and how you want to chase the ball. So really, we just consistently in the offseason just pushing the effort, the energy, and the enthusiasm by these guys, and that's what they've given us.
Regarding Kyle, I think last year he was coming off an injury, he was healthier, and the performance was what it was. What did you see in how he did, and what gives you hope that maybe he can surpass what he did last season?
He's super talented. It's always going to be the thing that gives you hope on Kyle, right? You're talking about a guy that's 6 whatever, runs 4 whatever, fast, plays the tight end position. Was a very high pick for us that we got a lot of confidence in, and something that he can definitely do as his new quarterback. And getting those guys the accumulated reps and getting those guys out there definitely fires you up for having an opportunity to get him out there and be able to accomplish some of the goals that we have for him and some of the goals that he has for himself. You know, he's got very high standards for himself, and I feel really good about those two working together and absolutely getting a better result.
Was there something in particular that held him back from achieving what you wanted him to last year?
No, it's just a matter of going out there and doing it. So like he has all those things, all those opportunities, and they'll present themselves again. I got a lot of belief in him. So like, you know, a lot of that comes with belief. A lot of that comes with us as an organization really focusing on some of the details and getting him some of the stuff that we can get him done.
Coach, what is the next step for Zach Robinson in year 2 as the head caller for his offense?
That's a good question. You know, Zach obviously last year was his first time calling it throughout the process, but as we know, the longer you work in this business, that's just what you do. You sit back and you evaluate yourself and you do all those different things, but you try to figure out what can make you better. You try to figure out how you can run the ball better, more efficiently. How you figure out what schemes you can add that's going to help you be able to add and dictate more terms the way you want to do it. You figure out what you need to pull back, what you didn't do as well, and you do all those things. So like I think it's really the evaluation process has kind of been throughout the offseason, and now it's going out and really getting a chance to go out there and get those things going, and then adding the new pieces that we will add to our offense. You know, wherever they come from. You know, obviously we got a bunch of returning guys, a bunch of returning starters, and then finding ways to even get more people involved. How do you get Tyler Algier more involved? How do you get Bijan more involved? How do you get all the guys that we have on our team more involved? You know, Cal Pitts, you know, Bijan. I mean, these guys, we got a bunch of guys, Drake London. We got a bunch of guys that definitely covered the ball. You know, Mooney, Ray. I mean, all these guys a lot of them had career years last year. And we want to see it with everybody, but it's just not possible at all times.
And how, as far as on the other side with Jeff Obrick being his first year, how quickly do you think he can get those guys acclimated, being that they're going to have to adjust to the new system?
They've done a nice job of getting it going. You know, it's not really all new. It's a merge. It's some things that's going in. It's some things that we have, some things we want to add. It's no different than from the offensive standpoint, but I really love the discipline, the effort, the detail that Jeff has brought to our defense. The leadership that he's brought to us has been absolutely outstanding. It's been on display all season. Getting a chance to watch him really bond with these new players that he has on his team, to be able to get the new guys that we're ready to add to the older guys that we've already had. To watch these guys go out there and really get it done really fires me up, and it's really exciting.
Raheem, there's a lot of interest and intrigue from outside this building about Kirk and his situation and what it's like, just the dynamic there. What's the chemistry like? What is it like? How's he handling this situation?
Yeah, it's been really boring for me because it's been the same. You know, it's been really consistent of it's what we talked about. You know, I'm really comfortable with Kirk because of who he is, his character, the person. I don't worry about those things with Kirk because he's a man first, and like he's gonna go out and do whatever it takes for us to help his football team as long as he's with us, and he's with us. And like it's been really less dramatic of a situation than it has been, I know, from an outside of the building standpoint.
Has that surprised you though? Because from an outside the building standpoint,
No
I feel
doubt.
like, it doesn't surprise you how, for you, smooth it's been or how he's handled it? Because I think from outside people will be like, oh, that might be uncomfortable. You know?
Not really. It hadn't. You know, he's just not a guy that's been consistently dealing with drama or brought drama upon himself. You know, obviously, there's been some drama. There's always going to be drama when you're talking about a quarterback position. But like, I mean, you're still talking about a high quality individual, a great human, somebody that I was willing to work with the first time, somebody I'm still willing to work with now. And I always think these things resolve themselves.
Going off of that, how concerned are you about the narrative and the noise of Kirk and what may happen, and how that impacts Michael Penix's ability to grow and continue to be the leader for this team he needs, because he is still a rookie that is still getting his feet underneath him and is probably not used to some of these things that, you know, he didn't see this in college.
I don't worry about that with Michael at all. You know, you guys have been around Michael. Like he's not going to die from a heart attack. You know, he's very poised, very calm, resilient. You know, I don't think the outside noise affects him nearly as much as it affects us. We're kind of normal. He's not when it comes to that. You know, like he's had outside noise since he's been an Atlanta Falcon, and I really feel good about his development, his growth, and who he is, and the confidence he has in himself. So like those are not really things. And then, and even from the flip side, you know, like Kirk's not in the business of disrupting Michael Penix. You know, Kirk has a great appreciation for the player that Michael is. He has a great appreciation for the person that he is, and I don't have worries about those things. You know, like that only happens when we have a lack of communication, and when there's a void of the communication, and we just don't have those things.
do you really think he could help Michael if their relationship is good, being in the league for a long time?
There's no doubt. I mean, Kirk's played in this league for a long time, seen a lot of football, seen a lot of things, and like, when you have a voice like that in the room, that's always gonna be helpful.
On
Brian
that
talked
note,
about,
what can him being here do for Michael Penix?
I'm sorry, say that
I
again?
said on that note, what can him being here do for Michael Penix?
You know, I don't know if it's necessarily what it can do for him being here, but it can't hurt. You know, like, you know, everybody likes really good football players being around him, and Kirk's been a really good football player in this league for a long time. And we able to have come off of revisionist history, some of the things that he's been through, like, none of those things would be harmful for Mike at all.
Ron, what did you like most? You mentioned each step of this process is a chance for him to grow Michael Penix
Yes.
in this situation. Now he moved into a mini camp. What have you enjoyed most about seeing him grow from every stage of this process that now he is the guy taking over as the quarterback?
It started in phase one with the athletic prowess that he's able to show us, you know, when it comes to the testing numbers, when it comes to the competitive nature that he has in his body, to go out there and compete with the numbers of an A.J. Terrell or a Mooney or Drake London. And that's really impressive. Start there. Then it kind of went into like the phase two and the OTA phase three. When you start to hear his voice and you start to hear his command of the offense and really the competitive nature come out just a little bit, you know, when it comes to some of the banter that's with that. And then this learning process that he's been able to have of being able to talk to a bunch of different quarterbacks from our history, right? Whether you're talking about Matt, or you're talking about Michael Vick, or you're talking about some of the people that's visited, or even Kirk Cousins, you know, going through the experience that he went through last year. Some of the guys that are in his room, whether you're talking about Emery, you're talking about Easton Stick, you're talking about his coaches, TJ, DJ, you know, all of those things, man, are big time steps that Michael has taken, and we've watched it, and we really liked it and enjoyed it.
So when you say that the guys are here, like Kyle Pitts and Kirk Cousins, will we get to see them out on the field? Like, is that they're in the building or they're actually going to be out in the field?
Kurt will be out there. You know, Kyle's still in the same status. You know, obviously we're working with extreme caution with Kyle and what we got going on, but you'll see the other guys.
A couple weeks ago, Ike Hilliard called it athletic arrogance when it came to Mike. How much do you see in that?
No, 100%. I was just trying to explain that. You summed that up well for me, and I appreciate Ike for giving me that term. But it is absolutely that. It is, I don't know, it's an ick factor. I don't feel that way because I don't have that kind of athletic arrogance. I can't make every throw, and he thinks he can, and he probably can. And there's a lot of confidence to go out there and do those things, and it's not even just the throws, it's just the seeing the defense, the learning the offense, the having a complete understanding of what we're trying to get done, to be able to communicate with his coordinator and Zach Robinson, and also to be able to use his voice to be the sounding board for the team and for his offense in particular. All of those things I think are very important to where he's going.
You keep mentioning his voice. I know that comes with confidence for a quarterback, and that will come more and more as he gets more and more comfortable. But how much have you seen him continue to trend in the right direction when it comes to taking over and really voicing his opinion?
I think his was less confidence. I think his was more the right place and the right time. You know, last year he was in a different role, and I think the role clarity on football teams and really anything that we do is so important. So I think him defining his role and the role clarity he has as our number one guy has allowed his voice to come out even more. You know, obviously he had a learning curve last year. He had to pick up different things. He had to pick it up pretty quickly. And I think it was more of a whisper last year and a question, as opposed to being a statement this year.
You mentioned Caleb and his situation being similar to Kyle's. I just want to make sure, like, you're saying that he has an injury that he's coming back from rehabbing?
You know, he's coming back, and extreme caution with all those guys. Obviously, you don't have to talk about injuries right now, but, you know, you can read between the lines, too. He's coming back from those things.
Anything else?